What's going on, everybody? It's another edition of the NRW Checkpoint with myself, WebsterStyle, the man, the voice, the fragrance, and Brian Sapph. Brian, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good. I like that bow tie, by the way.
Thank you.
I just noticed that. But yes, I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good. So let's start off. We got a lot of games this week, and we had a showcase this week as well. So let's kind of get on that real quick. So PlayStation had their showcase. And Brian, I want to ask you what you thought of it, just overall.
Overall, I was very, very impressed. I'm excited. This is like the first, showcase or state of play in a long time where it's like every single game that they showed, I was like, oh, this could be interesting. That could be cool. I want that game. This game look amazing. So I was really, really impressed and happy with it. Obviously, you know what I'm saying, Spider-Man 2 stole the show towards the end there with all the because it looks amazing. But they also have some other cool games in there. I'm interested in this Final Fantasy is at 16.
Yeah,
I think that was 16. The Metal Gear Solid Delta game looks dope. I can't think of the name, or I can't remember the name.
Phantom Blade Zero.
Is that the samurai?
Yes.
That looked like
that looks absolutely amazing.
Yes. That game, the other game where the main protagonist is riding on a blade. I think it's Blade Rider. I don't know, he's riding around a sword like it's a hoverboard. Yeah,
that was a beautiful game.
Yeah. The game with the lady and the wolf with the antlers, like it was they showed a lot. They showed a lot. The hardware was really, really cool too. I know you wanted to.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Well, y'all can find more about that on my YouTube channel about my feelings on that. We ain't gonna do it here. I actually thought, and maybe it's because it was a showcase, so I had higher expectations for it. I thought that it was okay.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. If I'm seeing a Sony showcase, and again, full disclosure, I don't own a PlayStation. I don't play PlayStation games, but I'm a gamer, and I like to see everybody win because there's a lot of money out there for people to win. Right. And if this is a showcase from either company, I'm expecting mostly first-party titles.
Okay.
They're first-party exclusive titles.
Yeah, I can see that.
Those were few when you got the one that the first game they showed. But again, it wasn't gameplay, but just like a CGI thing. What was the other? Hell Raiders. I thought Hell Raiders was a ripoff of Starship Troopers for a second.
Yeah, a lot of it's funny because a couple of games that they showed, I was looking at this like, okay, like the one with the foam or whatever. I'm like, that's Splatoon Town.
That's Square Enix. That's not even first party, but that's exclusive to PlayStation. I'm like, I just said, okay, y'all ripped off Splatoon. Okay. Yeah. But I thought overall, like I said, it was about a C from me because outside the fact that the only first party game, I believe Phantom Blade Zero is a first party. The Hell Raiders games are first party as far as gameplay from both of those. And Spider-Man 2, there may have been one or two others where you saw gameplay, but that was it for first parties. All the other first parties you saw were CGI trailers. And then more than half of the games that they showed that were third party, even their own studios like Bungie, are also going to be on Xbox.
Yeah.
And I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, if this is a showcase, I'm showcasing what is exclusive to us. This isn't a state of play. Right. This is a showcase. Well, so for me, I was disappointed in that regard because I'm like, okay, I want to see what Sony's doing. I want to see, what their first party is coming with, what's coming up. So, and did we really need to see Gran Turismo trailer again?
We didn't, and that's probably the lowest point because I'm like, okay, we know y'all making the show, like we don't have to keep right. Come on, but. All that aside, I understand what you're saying. I didn't even look at it from that perspective. I think maybe the next state of play we get will be geared more towards like exclusive titles and AAA games and first party stuff. Because I know they kind of banked on this showcase, or they kind of put this showcase out to like participate in the summer game festival thing, whatever. So I don't know, because there was some, games missing. Obviously, people want to know about what's going on with Grand Theft Auto 6, which I mean, I don't necessarily care about, but I do understand it's a very, very popular game. People really want to know what's going on with it. And, just for the sake of, being a gamer, I would like some more information on it as well, even though I'm not going to play it. But, we were anticipating some more Kingdom Hearts news, Kingdom Hearts 4 or whatever, because we haven't got anything since like last year. Almost been a year since we got an update on that game. So I don't know. I feel like maybe the next State of Play will probably get more of that. But
I think they missed the chance.
I get what you're saying.
Because there was no they got that The Last of Us multiplayer. There's a multiplayer for was it Horizon that's supposed to be happening as well.
They didn't touch on that either, right?
Those things have been in development for a while, so I'm surprised. Like those things that the fan base is really excited for, there was no word for it at a showcase. Yeah, like this is not a State of Play. This is like one of your big events for the year. Yeah. So with that extent, it was pretty lackluster for me. And speaking of lackluster, let's talk about the queue.
Okay.
The queue is essentially a Wii U remote for your PlayStation.
Yeah. So I don't know, because I have a PlayStation 5, right?
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I want this device, this Q device, way more than I need it. And I don't know if that's necessarily going to be something that's going to make me go out and buy it, just simply because I have a Switch. So I'm like, it looks very, very cool. I'll be very impressed if they actually get the design to come out like that, because how it looks on the video, I don't think it'll actually look like that in hand. Maybe close, but I don't know. We'll see. Either way, I don't know, because you're right. It's pretty much a remote control. So the thing with it is you leave. Well, for me, if I was to travel with it, I would leave my PlayStation, home or whatever. Obviously, that'll be connected to Wi-Fi. And then when I get to a destination that also has Wi-Fi, then I will hook up to the Wi-Fi with the Q thing and then stream the games from that.
Right.
That's, I don't know what to do with that, really.
Can't you do that from your phone already?
I'm not sure. That's probably because I don't know. That's the thing with the PlayStation ecosystem. Like as far as cloud gaming and streaming games and stuff like that, like that's so like, at least for me anyway, it's so like not explained that I don't really care to get into it.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's remote play, so it's not even like cloud. Right. It's like you're directly connecting to your PlayStation.
Oh, which that does happen. Yeah, there's an app for that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, because Xbox does that too, and it did that before, like really the whole cloud play and Game Pass. So one of those things where it's a cool feature, but this is my biggest knock again coming from Xbox.
Okay.
A remote play is cool, but what if you got internet issues or connectivity issues at your home?
That was like what I was about to say. Like, what if something happens to my internet at the house? Like,
right.
I can't. I mean, these days there is an app where I'm pretty sure I can reset my internet from my phone, but you know what I'm saying? It might be something a little bit more serious than that. And then what if the Wi-Fi where I'm at is not good either?
Right.
It's kind of like you kind of got to rely on both. And I thought about, would you be able to connect it to a hotspot on your phone if you wanted to do it like that? Would it be able to process that kind of data speed, make the games crisp and all that? Like, is it going to live up to its potential just based on the fact that it's a remote play device that's solely dependent on Wi-Fi?
Right. Exactly.
I'm not sure
if... And it's not going to be cheap. And that's probably my biggest issue with it. Like, this is a device that's probably going to cost as much as consoles from rival competitors. And it's just a screen with literally a screen, some Wi-Fi, and a controller stacked on each side of it.
Right.
And look, an 8-inch LCD screen what it said, 1080p, 60 frames per second, and a dual shock. You're talking about at least $299. They're going to charge for that.
Yeah.
Maybe $250.
Yeah, no, I can see the 300. I can definitely see that because
you're
what was
telling
VR?
Me that's worth it. Like, that's worth it compared to, again, your phone, a stand, and a controller, or the backbone, which you can attach to your phone, which is a PlayStation version, which is like $100. Right. You're really telling me that is a mainstream product. I feel like it's so niche.
Yeah.
And I put out a tweet on this, and somebody responded that they would get it. And I'm just thinking, you have money to burn.
Yeah. That's
if you could just throw around $300-$400, just because you care, that's great for you. But that's a small subset of gamers. And for, we talk about VR, for that to be as much as it is, and it's not selling what they want to. Right. And then you're talking about bringing out literally a companion device, not even a handheld, a companion device to your system that fulfills a need you essentially, or fulfills a niche that you already can fill with a device that you carry in your pocket all the time anyway.
Right.
And you're going to, charge a couple $100 for it. I just don't know who this is for. And I feel like Sony's setting themselves up with failure again. They were better off doing a dedicated handheld that you can, like, literally, they were better off doing a dedicated handheld that mimicked PS4 graphics, and you could remote play on your PS5 on it.
Right.
To justify and again, I don't know how much it's going to cost, but let's just say it's a $250, $299. What? A low-end Steam Deck is $399, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So they're going to try to stay in that ballpark. The Switch Lite is what? $250?
No, that's like $199.
And then the regular Switch
is
probably
$299, I believe.
Yeah, so they're gonna try to stay in that.
Actually, no, it's $250. Yeah, I think it's $299. It might be $250 now because they had that OLED model. I think the OLED model is $299. But anyway, it's still, you're talking about $300 and lower for a gaming system that's an actual gaming system,
right?
With online connectivity and everything,
which is interesting because if I'm not mistaken, the PSP, I want to say the Vita was kind of like that. Like it had the remote play feature built into it.
I believe it did, yeah.
Yeah, and then you could also download games too, because they want to move away from the physical copies because the little discs cost too much or whatever. I don't know. The only way I really see this Q being like a huge success is if at some point they're like, oh, you can save the game to the device and play it without internet connection. If it's a game that you can do that, or at least play it and then not have to rely solely on, I'm remote playing from a device that could be anywhere in the country or the world, I guess, and be subject to Wi-Fi signal.
Right.
Because otherwise, I don't know. I guess a phone does the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't. But that has a built-in radio that can communicate with a cell phone tower, so I would never lose internet.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
They have to. Yeah.
If this was any other company, I would give them the benefit of doubt and say they will come out with an aggressive price point. But it's not. It's Sony.
It's Sony. Yeah.
if this came out at a $199 price point, I could say, it's pushing it, but I can understand why people would buy it and as a secondary device, accessory, because people buy joysticks that cost that much money.
Yeah.
So I'm
Pro. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a Sony, so I know it's going to be over 200, probably about 300, if not more, because it's Sony. And that's, for me, that's where the problem comes from with why does this device exist? Who did they focus test to say this is a good idea we should put into production?
I honestly think they focus testing us right now because they didn't really do too much other than tell us that it existed. We had already knew these like little minute details based on the leaks that were coming out.
Right.
So with the showcase, they pretty much was like, yeah, it's happening. These are the things it's officially going to be able to do, and we'll give you more information later on in the year.
And
so
the internet is skewering it.
Right. So, I want to say that they do have something like intelligent up their sleeve, or maybe they will kind of add some kind of feature that would make the Q thing or whatever they're gonna end up naming it actual beneficial thing for the PlayStation ecosystem. But yeah, like you said, it's the Sony, so they really might not care too much. They've been putting out a lot of products over the past couple of months just to do it. New monitors and headphones and stuff like that.
Earbuds now.
Yeah, which I just had an interesting piece of conversation on my podcast about these fucking earbuds. And I don't know. I mean, I get it, but I don't at the same time, because it's like,
no, I get it. You know why? Because for all these companies, earbuds are really cheap to produce.
They
have a very high markup value.
Right. And people don't realize what they're getting with those things.
Let me put it this way, and I don't mean this to insult anybody, but let's look at Sony's track record.
Mm-hmm.
Sony takes advantage of their customers by their price points and their brand name.
They do.
And look, so I'm talking about the company as a whole. Cameras, TVs,
movies and everything.
PlayStation, they look, we see it with the VR too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's not worth this money based on everything I've seen, but it's still an expensive piece of equipment. And earbuds, look, these are earbuds that are going to be at least $200.
Yeah. Just because it has the PlayStation logo.
Exactly.
Sony technology, and it's new. Sony's first ever or PlayStation earbuds or whatever. Yeah, they like to do that. They bank on the brand and the loyalty that they've built with the consumers and everything, and they mark up, and then halfway throughout the life cycle of the product, they're like, this is what the actual price was supposed to be, so now we're going to mark it down to that if you want to get it now. And honestly, I can't really be mad, because people buy this stuff. But I don't know, I'm interested to see like what will come of the Sony Q, because I feel like what they had with the PSP and the PSP Vita, that was actually like a very, very good device. It was a very, very good change from home consoles to trying to do something that you could take with you.
Right.
So if they could just dial it back a little bit, not rely so much on the Wi-Fi situation, let me download a full game to this thing or whatever. I know it would be dumb if they don't have expandable storage on this thing, just for the fact that it's going to be running apps that you have to stream or remote play or whatever. I don't know, but hopefully something good comes of it, because I don't know. I'm interested. Like I said, I want it way more than I need it, and that's not necessarily because I got priorities and things. I'm an adult that make good decisions with their money. I try to.
Right.
So it's like, I might want this thing, but will I get it? Not if it's not gonna serve any purpose. And I don't care. Nintendo's not letting up.
Nope.
The handheld situation is theirs, and you gotta do a whole lot, which was interesting because some of the games that they showcased, they are also gonna be on Switch. Which, to your point, not a whole lot of first party and exclusive games there, but overall showcase, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the games that they showcased more than anything.
I agree. There are a couple games that came out, like I said, even again, they're PlayStation exclusive that I'm looking forward to coming out. Let's talk about the games this week, because we got a pretty lengthy list.
Okay.
So first up, we have Inkbound. It's a strategy game from Shiny Shoe. Developer publisher Inkbound reinvents turn-based gameplay in a fluid online-only co-op roguelike from the creators of Monster Train. Play solo or party up to dive into magical, dangerous books of the Anthem library and fight to save this rich and ever-expanding world. So that's that one. Unfortunately, we weren't watching too many trailers today because we have a lot of games and we'd be here all day if we watch trailers. But that's Inkbound, and I'm sorry, that's PC only.
Yeah, it's a strategy game, so
yeah,
somebody will like it.
Exactly. So next up is After Us, is on the PS5, Xbox Series X, S, and PC. Adventure game from developer Piccolo, publisher Private Division. Play as Gaia, the spirit of life, and navigate the stunning platforming environments in an abstract world to salvage the souls of extinct animals, revive these creatures after learning their final fate. The last whale harpoon, the final eagle cage, the last deer hunted down, and more, while you survive encounters with dangerous oil-covered devourers that roam the wastelands in search of remaining life. Now, I have to say, I ended up stumbling upon the trailer for this one earlier today. It's a pretty beautiful looking game. Gaia is like this being of light, and as you can imagine, the world is kind of dark and drab, so it's a very beautiful contrast between this being and you seeing the pretty much end of us in the world and everything. So it looks like a very interesting game.
Okay, that does sound interesting.
A lot of these games, world sort of end games and bringing back to life sort of things we've seen lately. Maybe foreshadowing of things to come, the way things.
Oh no, they did. Yeah, these they definitely pulling from what they feel like real life is heading to. It only makes sense.
Right. Next up, we have Amnesia: The Bunker, as an adventure game from Frictional Games. Amnesia: The Bunker is a first-person horror game set in a desolate World War II bunker. Face the oppressing terror stalking the dark corridors. Search for and use the tools and weapons at your disposal, and keeping the lights on at all costs. Overcome fear, persevere, and make your way out alive.
So this is a horror game.
Yeah, survival horror, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna probably pass on that one, but
yeah, basically.
I'm pretty sure Twitch are gonna have a good time with it. I actually would like to see. This is a survival horror game, but it has a story to it, so it's not like
I believe it's by daylight. Because I think there's another Amnesia game.
Okay,
that came out as well.
Forget, huh?
Yeah. I'm not too big on survival horrors, but I do remember that. The name sounds familiar. I feel like it's on Game Pass, or at least it was on Game Pass at one point in time.
Interesting.
All right. And I'm sorry, and that's on the PS4, 5, Xbox One, SX, and PC. Next up, we have Bread and Fred, which is on the PC only. Platformer from Sandcastle Studios as a developer, and Apogee Entertainment as the publisher. Bread and Fred is a challenging co-op platformer from Apogee where two players must cooperate to jump and climb to the top of a snowy mountain. And Bread and Fred are penguins, by the way. So it makes a bit more sense why they're trying to get to the top of snowy mountains.
Right.
Like the old little, toy where they go up and slide down and go back up sort of thing. Play as both Bread and Fred, and that as exasperating, don't say that word written too often.
Right.
And sometimes maddening climb that requires passion with every jump. Each time you land, you'll be closer to the peak and one step closer to mastering the platform. But you fall down the mountain even further.
What?
Yeah, exactly. So we're not watching the trailer for that one.
This is not a roguelike?
No, platforming. It's kind of pixelated. It's pixelated also. So it's kind of got an old school feel. I just saw some of the pictures when I was looking up the info. Next up is another League of Legends story. I know we had the Mage Seeker, last week or the week before. Now we have Convergence, a League of Legends stories on the PS4, 5, Xbox One, SX, Switch, and PC. Riot Games is really milking this franchise with side stories, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean they're trying to get this word out to new audiences compared to the regular main game.
And this is how you do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is an action game from Double Stallion and Riot Forge, developed by Double Stallion games Convergence, the League of Legends story, is a story-driven single-player 2D action platformer featuring dynamic combat and unique exploration opportunities thanks to Echo's abilities to travel through space and time, rewind your actions to learn your mistakes, and outsmart each new enemy. Will it be enough to save Zaun's future? It kind of sounds like a little bit of Prince of Persia-ish, Sands of Time with that gameplay mechanic.
Which they need to put another one of those out.
Well, Ubisoft's had their own problems. They're working on it, but they got their issues right now. So
yeah,
hopefully they'll put it out before they go bankrupt.
They need to put it out before they put out. Wait, Ubisoft, that's Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
we done. I'm like, or maybe not, because I every time I see an Assassin's Creed trailer, I'm like, okay, that look good. They had one in the showcase.
Yep.
But definitely need a Prince of Persia game. And this one sounds very, very interesting as well. I could see the League of Legends like story growing. If they keep doing these kind of games that don't have like similar story and structure to them, like I see an ecosystem of League of Legends games where, like, I don't know, each individual game speaks to a different niche of gaming.
Right.
I don't know. Either way, this one sounds cool.
Yeah, it does sound cool too. All right, next up we have Miasma Chronicles. This is on PS4, 5, Xbox One, SX, and PC. Strategy game from the Bearded Ladies and 505 Games, from the creators of Mutant Year Zero. Rosie Eaton comes a beautifully crafted tactical action adventure you won't forget. Embark on a quest across a post-apocalyptic wasteland torn apart by a savage force known as the Miasma. That's it. Oh, there was one thing though that, and this kind of goes into what we're seeing here, but even the PlayStation showcase. I don't know if you got this.
Okay.
So many games look alike now.
Yeah, there's we talked about it. They definitely made their own Splatoon, and it's
kind of sad. And the games we're looking at now, and you're not seeing the trailers, but a lot of these look different. But a lot of these games that are really getting pushed, art styles are becoming more blurred. Character designs are getting very homogenous,
right?
So it's refreshing.
Stories
like this, and the stories are run of the mill and the same in many respects,
right? Because I mean, that samurai game really, really looks good, but it also really, really looks like the other samurai games.
The only thing different is like the gameplay and the moves, but it looks
right.
I got when that game started, I got. Oh, this reminds me of Trek to Yomi, even though Trek to Yomi is different, but that location, that locale, the shrines, all that reminded me of Trek. It reminded me also of the
filter.
What's the game that Team Ninja just put out with the samurais and everything going through the village, and I forget what it's called, but there's
Hero Tsushima, Ghost of Tsushima.
No, that's a Sony game. It's I forget what it's called. It just came out a couple months ago. We talked about it, and I played a little bit of it on Game Pass. But I know what I'm talking about. But we're getting a lot of the same themes over and over again, and everything starts to blur together. So.
Yeah. Interesting trend.
Yes, an unfortunate one as well. But here's one that bucks the trend, and this is Planet of Lana on the Xbox One, SX, and PC, and it's also on Game Pass. So. During this long weekend, during this long weekend, if I don't get sucked into the next game, I'll probably play this one as well, since it's on Game Pass. But it's an adventure game.
Okay.
It's from developer Wishfully and publisher Thunderful. Thunderful has published some pretty cool indie games on Game Pass the past couple of years. I talked about The Gunk and how much I love that game. They published that as well. I think one or two others as well that we've talked about that I found really entertaining over the past 2 years or so. But in Planet of Lana, a young girl and her loyal friend embark on a rescue mission through a colorful world full of clothed machines and unfamiliar creatures. Planet of Lana is a cinematic puzzle adventure framed by an epic sci-fi saga that stretches across centuries and galaxies. So it sounds cool.
It does. It's familiar.
We are watching the trailer for that one.
Okay,
I did pick that.
I want to see that.
All right. Next one. The next one is a game that I've been waiting for the past that I have constantly looked to see to make sure they were releasing a version on Xbox One, because I was going to be very pissed if it was not on Xbox One.
No, a title like this, they need to spread it.
Yeah, and it is. It is spread very thin. No Switch though, which is surprising. But it is Star Trek Resurgence. Live long and prosper, everybody. Coming out for the PS4, 5, Xbox One, SX, and PC. An adventure game from Dramatic Labs. Now, Dramatic Labs is comprised of former Telltale developers. So it is a Telltale style narrative adventure. So Star Trek Resurgence is an interactive narrative game that tells an original story set in the era shortly after the events of Star Trek Generation. So this takes place a couple of years after the end of Star Trek Nemesis. I don't know the star dates, but I believe it's also after the Dominion War. So it's, so it's like that perfect 90s Star Trek sort of era. Unravel a sinister mystery involving two alien civilizations on the brink of war. Now, I have been watching this game for a year. Back about a year ago, IGN had a in-depth, like behind the scenes look at it. And it is not the most high quality, stunning, but it looks like a stunning Star Trek game. And if you played any of the Telltale games, you know how that dialogue tree and how decisions impact you over the course of a game. And it's like 11 hours and it's only $40.
Oh, that's perfect.
Exactly. I saw that today because I'm like, yo, I'm gonna pick this up on Friday. I'm gonna play this. How much this costs? Let me put it on my wish list. Like, that's $39.99.
Yeah.
So it's a great price. You got 11 plus hours of gameplay,
which is perfect.
You got Jonathan Frakes, who's going to show up as Captain Riker, but also Ambassador Spock. And the guy they have doing Spock sounds like Leonard Nimoy to a T. Like it's amazing. So if you haven't figured it out, I love Star Trek. So if you go to my YouTube, you'll know. If you follow me, you know. Okay.
Right.
So I will probably be sucked into this game this weekend once I download it tomorrow. So probably don't call me. But yeah, we are watching the trailer for Star Trek Resurgence so you can understand why I'm so giddy and excited about this game.
Okay, because I want to see.
All right. Next up, we have Hello Neighbor VR Search and Rescue for PSVR and VR2. Adventure from Tiny Build is basically a VR game set in the Hello Neighbor universe.
Did they showcase this one?
No.
I feel like, okay.
No, they did I remember was it Crossfire theme game?
Yeah, there was that. They did that. They announced Beat Saber is coming.
Yeah, I saw that with the Queen Pack. Well, not right, with it, but there was that other shooting game that looked very generic and bare bones.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
And there was another one that was VR. I don't know. I kind of forwarded past the VR stuff.
I know that. I remember what it was, but yeah.
Was it the Five Nights at Freddy's game?
Yes.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay. And if that doesn't come out in October, somebody has their wires crossed. Right. So that crosses whatever. All right. So yeah. So there no Hello Neighbor there. But next up is The Case of the Golden Idol, which is coming out for the Switch. It's a puzzle game from developer Color Grade Games and developer Color Grade Games, publisher PlayStack Limited, a new kind of a detective game that allows you to think and investigate freely, discover clues surrounding 12 strange and gruesome deaths, and build your own theory. Pick your suspect, deduce your motive, unmask the awful truth.
Okay. So that's Clue?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, it's Clue. That's basically what I thought of. So Miss Scarlet's in the observatory with the lead pipe.
Okay.
All right. Next up and last for this week is the game that, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same way, correct me if I'm wrong, that when they announced this, we all said, why?
Listen.
Why is this game? Why do you want to make this game? As much as anybody loved Lord of the Rings, let's be real. Nobody wants to play as Gollum. Now we have the Lord of the Rings Gollum with PS4, 5, Xbox One, SX, and PC. And it's not even based on the movies. It's based on the story. So we don't even have Andy Serkis as Gollum.
And it's been receiving terrible reviews.
Yes, it has.
Already.
I watched the review from IGN today. Yes, it has. It looks... Okay. We are watching the trailer, so we'll let you form your own opinion. But it looks drab. It takes place in that period between the Hobbit and the Fellowship of the Ring, where he's in prison most of the time.
Okay. So what are you doing in the game?
Prison Break, Lord of the Rings style.
As the big interactive experience, you play as Magic Gollum and their journey and find out how he outwitted the most powerful characters in Middle Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
But
we're not going to a description because it's jailbreak Gollum, Lord of the Rings. That's exactly what the game is.
And which is interesting, right? Because they say, find out how he outwitted some of the most powerful characters in Middle Earth. But then it's like this game is not tied to the canon of the story, is it? I am not that familiar because I know the Hobbit, I know the Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm.
I am not that versed in like any stories that happened between that period. And I don't know how much detail there is about that period. I think it was probably mentioned in one of the stories. I know it's like a supplemental book and I forget what it's called, but I'm not sure how much detail there is on this experience of this character. So I would bet easy money there was a lot of creative license taken with this game.
Had to be, because you picked the character that nobody wanted to be.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, look,
so with that, let's get into the trailers. Let's start off with Star Trek Resurgence.
Okay.
Captain's log, stardate 57931.4. Okay. Starfleet has tasked us with a mission of the highest priority.
I see what you're saying about the graphics.
Are now on the brink of war.
But honestly, understanding Star Trek and like knowing that this is around the time where golden age of Star Trek, I don't mind it because it kind of gives you a sense of nostalgia here. Like, this came out on PlayStation 2.
You go first. No time to fight me on this.
If we can't go to war, we're sitting ducks here. We'll push the mission and everyone on the ship.
Right, this looks.
They respect one.
This is a Star Trek game I've been waiting for.
Our losses are mounting. Yours are just beginning.
Look out! We're being hailed by the USS Titan.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Resolute.
Riker.
It's something greater than we can imagine.
The Takan were once the most advanced, most powerful civilization in the galaxy.
How dare you disturb me?
Portal 6-3. We need your help.
This looks cool. Okay.
All right, Brian, what'd you think?
Look good to me. This games like this, it made me want to like get into Star Trek more and understand like how the characters, piece together and things like that.
Yeah.
But I really like the like I said, the nostalgia feel, because I'm like, okay, this game could have came out back when I was on PlayStation 2.
Right, exactly.
Probably would have been one of the better ones. So that's like cool. And I like games like that where it's like, oh, make a decision. One way could, send you down one path, another way could send you down another path. I like games like that. So it's dope.
Right. All right, cool.
We are recording.
So next up, Lord of the Rings Gollum. Let's go.
Let's see what they tried to do.
Gnaws iron, bites steel.
Like the voice is a good approximation of it.
Hard stones
Okay.
to heal. So shiny, yes, so beautiful. My precious.
The darkness grows beyond our borders. My people are growing anxious. We
There's
cannot
always some darkness growing beyond some borders in these games. Outside the borders.
What did you tell him?
Nothing. We swears.
I want to.
I bet you all this is like the beginning of the game.
to oversee matters in
But why would I want to play the character that gets kicked in the head?
the creature. Bring it back. Kill it, if need be.
We must find help. He mustn't see us. No, not him. Don't be scared.
Powers and essence. Story untold.
All right, I'll say this much. Just this trailer, they do a very good job of making the story seem so epic.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we're talking about Gollum. It's not a character anybody wants to play as.
What I'm saying.
I hate to put it that way. Like,
no. I mean,
no, a whole game. If there's like a Gollum mission in the Lord of the Rings game, okay, that's cool. Understand that. But because you kind of know what happens.
Because he's a Gollum.
Especially that time period. He don't have a ring, so it's not like you can sit there and float with playing with the ring.
Mm-hmm.
You're not running into Gandalf or Bilbo, or because Bilbo's story is already done with him, and he ain't up to where he's going to meet Frodo and stalk them or anything like that. Like, give me a game with Gollum that happens during the Fellowship where he's stalking them. Like he is. Like, so you have some stealth,
cool.
Some stealth gameplay. You have, maybe he has to fight off his murders. I know you got some of that in this game where it's like you're bouncing between Smeagol and the Gollum personalities, but really have that as maybe even like a KOTOR sort of system where you got to balance which side is in control, and so you don't slaughter the Fellowship or Samwise and Frodo as they're trying to take the ring back, and you're trying to get maybe something like that. This, especially the time period that it's in, I don't find it that interesting, and it seems like a lot of people don't. I won't say most people. I can't speak for most people,
right?
But those that have an opinion and choose to put their opinion online, they have a similar opinion of this game.
Which, that ought to tell the people something, the right. Developers and everything. I could see like a game about the Golem being interesting if it wasn't like something like you had just described, or if it was even if it was him in his element of like other golems. I don't know. I just feel like, just looking at the trailer, they built this really, really like epic game. It probably does have a decent story to it, but it's just like the character does not fit whatever story they're trying to tell. I feel like Kratos is supposed to be doing this stuff or whatever, or
right.
I don't know.
Right.
What does the golem do? What is it? Does he have abilities in the Lord of the Rings? I'm not a Lord of the Ringer, so I'm not 100% sure. But like, does he have abilities, or is his thing to just like protect and serve? I don't like. What's his purpose in the Lord of the Rings story? He just
he had the ring.
Okay.
And Bilbo got the ring from him. So his whole, like, he had it and it twisted him and became kind of the shell of a creature. So he's basically obsessed with the ring and always trying to get the ring back.
Okay. Now, see, that could make sense based on what you're saying. If he was like stalking the people that had the ring, and it's his job to like try to get it from them without being caught, because he a golem. What he gonna do besides get kicked in the head?
Right.
I don't know. But also, I didn't play the game. I'm like I said, not like a big Lord of the Rings person. So it could be something there. It's just anytime, I don't know. If you want to tell a story that's untold about this kind of character, then like, take me to his village and let me see his people, how he living. And don't put this man in chains and he on the trailer getting disrespected in his own game. I don't like that. It feels very like Dobby from
yes,
Harry Potter. And I don't like that. Like, don't make the center of this, don't make this person's game, this character's game, and be the story of how everybody look at him as a slave and servant and disrespected him all the time. Like,
right.
I don't want to play that. I don't want to play that.
Exactly.
Give him some kind of abilities. You know what I'm saying? Put him in his own world with other golems and things like that, and let it be something where we really finding out something new about this character. You basically just giving us another angle of him being a slave, and I don't like that.
Yeah, or even just being downtrodden. And I don't know.
Conniving. Like,
I think this, for me, this goes back to kind of what we talked about before, what we brought up as far as games looking alike, or so many things kind of bleeding together. And this is a very well-known IP, but gameplay and mechanics, and again, not even thinking about some of the reviews that I saw, you have very standard. There's nothing new or imaginative about the gameplay in this game, whether it's good or bad. Mechanics are similar to every other game you've played. Things you have to do are going to be similar to every other game you've played in this sort of genre. And a license alone is not enough to,
I was about to say,
get people to buy a game that you played before.
Right.
Again, going back to what we just watched before with Star Trek, that's a whole new, literally a whole new story in the universe that you know.
Right.
Like whole new characters. And you see some old ones in the trailer. That's exciting. That's new. That's something you've never seen before. You're doing things you always wanted to do. Nobody wants to escape prison as part of the game. At
least not in the form of a golem.
Right. No one wants to be any character that has had the ring in the Lord of the Rings and not have the ring.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. Look, it feels very cash grabby to me. But it's not very well executed cash grab, because they ain't even picked the character that people want to play. Like, you could have, I don't know. I heard the Hobbit was cool. Why they didn't go with the Hobbit?
Well, this is the thing. I was gonna bring that up. I don't know about a cash grab, but I'll say this. I commend the developers for doing the best they could and trying to do something different with the license.
I can respect that,
because one of the things we've saw, especially in, it's been 20 years now, realistically, there were a lot of different types of games that came out when the movies came out. And some of them were really, really good. And then you had I think the Shadows of Mordor series was the last series that came out that was based on the movies, and that's been a few years now. So I think this is the first Lord of the Rings game we've gotten in a while. But one of the things with the movie tie-ins, there were a lot of different games produced. And that does not make it easy for someone to come in to get their license and to try to do something new and unique. So, and I forget the developer, who's the developer again. Daedalic.
Okay.
They did what they could to do something different with an IP that everybody's familiar with. So I won't take that away from them. It's just that the IP itself is not going to make a game any better.
Right. So. I feel like, and then we can let it go.
Yeah.
I feel like if this game would actually be okay if it just wasn't the Gollum. Like if it could be any other, it could even be a character that don't exist and you create it yourself and just be like, oh, relive, like how they did Hogwarts Legacy. Like your character is not attached to the actual books or anything. You create your own wizard and you living out a story that happened like 400 years before Harry was even thought about. If they would have did something like that, I could see this game being a little bit more better. But they actually took a character that people have come to form a perception about that they don't care for him, and they made the game. I respect it. Like you said, it was an ambitious feat. You know, they came in, they did what they could. Cool. But you know.
Yep. Well, that's that. Look, that's all we're saying about this game. Next up, we have our last trailer, and that is Planet of Lana.
Okay. Oh, this is like colorful. Okay. Off Earth Odyssey.
Right. So, what do you think of Planet of Lana?
I like the art design. I couldn't really pick up what the story was gonna be about. I mean, he looking for Lana, so
right, exactly.
I guess. But outside of that, like I want to see some of the gameplay just based on how like they drew it, everything. Like I like that whole minimalist but not kind of look for the art style. Right. So I want to see how the game like moves and fluctuates like in the gameplay element. But you know, they did something else, and that's okay. So I like the way it looks, and hopefully the story is endearing. I mean, he calling for Lana, so I want to know what's up with Lana. But like, they didn't really give me much to go on.
Right. Understood. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. If I get a chance to play it, I'll definitely let you know how it plays, and we'll go from there. So, you know, you talk about your podcast. What's going on with you this week, Brian?
So I'm working on the next episode. Couple things there. I'm gonna get into a little bit deeper into how I feel about the PlayStation Showcase. There was some good music that came out. just this past, since the last episode. So got new music to discuss. What else? Oh, I'm watching a new show.
What you watching?
Unicorn, the Warrior, the Eternal Warrior. It's like a steampunk like action adventure cartoon on Adult Swim.
Oh, okay.
And it's I don't know, the name is not what it, because you think unicorn is going to be like, oh, rainbows, and it's not. It's very dark, and I don't know. It's good so far. They putting them out weekly, but I'm gonna discuss that on the pod. I definitely got to RIPs to everybody. Tina Turner passed, and I forgot the gentleman's name, but Thor's dad. That's what I remember it from. Yeah. So I'm putting together this episode pretty much, and that's coming next week.
Okay.
What about you?
I've just dropped I had 2 interviews this week. I dropped the interview with Bourgeois Latte out of LA. She has a great radio show called Lava Chips Radio, where she is pretty much debuting a whole lot of new and upcoming R&B artists. You check her out. Definitely okay. Find some people, some music that you want to hear. I put out more details on my feelings about the PlayStation Q. And then I talk with that girl, Avon, aka Navia, who is 1/3 of the Sci-Fi Queens podcast. And we talk Star Trek pretty much the whole doggone time.
Okay.
So that's what's happened.
Is that out already?
Yes, that's out already. That came out today, actually. So that one's out as well. We talk Star Trek, sci-fi, podcasting. You get 2 Trekkies online together. It's hard to stop talking.
All right. I'm interested.
So definitely check it out. So you're currently with Nerds Rule the World. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the NRW, on Instagram at New Release Wednesday, and of course, on YouTube. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Unless you want to be a Gollum, that's crazy how they did that game.